40 seconds. Think about that. It's nothing, right? Less time than it takes to heat up your coffee. But that's all the time it took for Air India Flight 171 to go from a totally routine takeoff to an absolute tragedy. So let's get right into what happened in those incredibly critical moments.
All right, so let's start by breaking down the timeline, and you're going to see just how terrifyingly fast this all happened.
I mean, just look at this. It's shocking. At exactly 1:38 p.m., the plane takes off, and just 40 seconds later, contact is lost. That's it. It's over. We are talking about a complete, catastrophic failure in less than a single minute. It's almost unbelievable.
So, what was this flight? Well, it was Air India AI171, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Just a totally routine flight, you know? It was heading from Ahmedabad all the way to London. For everyone on board, this was supposed to be the start of a normal long-haul trip. Of course, they had no idea what was coming.
But it never even really got into the sky. Instead of climbing, that Dreamliner just fell. It came crashing down right near the airport, onto a medical college hostel. So this wasn't just a tragedy in the air, it became a catastrophe on the ground, too. Just a horrific scene.
Okay, so the speed of this disaster is one thing, but now we have to talk about the human cost. And it is, well, it's just staggering. The numbers here really tell the story.
242. That's how many people were on that plane. You had 230 passengers and a crew of 12. 242 lives.
And out of all those people, this is how many made it out alive. One. Just one single survivor. Can you even imagine that? One person, pulled from the wreckage of a giant airplane crash. And that one person has a name, Vishwas Kumar Ramesh. And when you put a name to it, it just becomes so much more real. In the middle of all this loss, his survival it's just an absolute miracle, really.
But remember, the tragedy didn't end with the plane itself. Because it crashed into that hostel, another 19 people on the ground lost their lives. Most of them were students. Just heartbreaking.
So when you add it all up, the people on the plane and the people on the ground, you get this number, 260. That's the total number of lives lost in this single, awful event.
When something this horrific happens, there's really only one question on everyone's mind. Why? How could this happen? So now, let's get into the investigation and the search for answers.
Right away, India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, or AAIB, started their work. And for them, job number one is always the same. Find the black boxes. You got the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder. Those two things are the key to unlocking what really happened.
And pretty quickly, the data from those boxes pointed to one very specific thing in the cockpit, the fuel control switch. Now, what is that? Well, you can basically think of it as an on-off switch for the engines. You flip it to run, and the engines get fuel. You flip it to cutoff, and they don't. It's that simple. And even with all the computers on a modern plane, this one physical switch is absolutely critical.
So here's the bombshell from the black boxes. Right after takeoff, something or someone moved those switches from run all the way to cutoff. Both engines at the same time. They were starved of fuel, and they just quit. Now, this explains what caused the crash, right? But it opened up a way bigger and, frankly, much scarier question.
And this is what makes it so chilling. This quote is pulled directly from the cockpit voice recorder. One of the pilots literally asked the other, why did he cut it off? Think about that. He's asking why the engines were shut down. This one question is the absolute core of the whole mystery.
So suddenly, the investigators are left with two possibilities. And honestly, they're both terrifying. Possibility one, human error. Did one of the pilots accidentally hit that switch? Or possibility two, a technical failure. Did something in the Boeing 787's own systems go wrong and cut the fuel all by itself? Human error or a flaw in the machine?
And that central question, human or machine, is what everything hinges on now. As the investigators dig deeper, you've got the entire aviation industry and, of course, the families of 260 people, just waiting and wondering.
Now, in the immediate aftermath, the response was pretty quick. The Tata Group, which owns Air India, stepped up. They announced a compensation of 1 crore rupees for the family of each victim, and they also promised to completely rebuild the college hostel that was destroyed. These were really important first steps for sure. But here's the thing. That support, as necessary as it is, can't answer the huge question that this whole disaster leaves hanging in the air. Was this a tragic, one-in-a-million human error?
Or was it a catastrophic technical flaw that could affect every single Boeing 787 flying around the world right now? The answer to that question has massive, massive implications. And until we have that answer, you have to wonder, there's this shadow of doubt hanging over one of the most popular planes in the sky.